What's going on, YouTube? Justin here, aka Goofy Skating Lifestyle, back at it again with another video. I am on my way to Napa Auto Parts to go pick up the heater core and the heater core hoses for the truck. Heater core, got the heater core in the box, the hose, and then 4 clamps. Let's go back to the truck and install them. Alright guys, now that I'm back home, gonna go ahead and show you guys the heater core. Picked it up at Napa. Got the bubble wrap off of it. Here it is. I got 4 clamps for it as well. 2 clamps go on the firewall side. The other 2 go over by the motor. I believe the one in the truck is just clogged, which I could unclog it, but I'm just deciding to replace the whole thing anyway. This is the heater hose. I will be cutting probably in half or so. We'll see. I'm gonna bring it all to the truck with you guys. We'll get started inside the cab and we'll go from there. All right guys, so before I pop the hood or get started on anything at all, I'm gonna go into the cab here and remove everything out of the glove box so then I can take the glove box off. Taking the glove box is probably the simplest part of this, as well as the hose clamps. Let's get started taking all this out. And then once I clean up the mess in the seat, put it all inside, I'm gonna set the camera down and show you guys how to take off the glove box. Clean out my glove box anyway a little bit. It's just a little dirty. So while it's out of the truck, I'm gonna be cleaning all that dirt out and all the unnecessary stuff that I have in this thing. So in order to disassemble the glove box, it's real simple. Prong on this side you press in, prong on this side. Got one hand here to do this. And then after those prongs, you drop it down. There's 2 there. All you have to do is lift up a little bit, lift up. Careful not to break it. It can be fragile in these trucks, old trucks. Set this off to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and just clean this with you guys on camera. Gonna end up using Clorox disinfectant wipes. All right, now that I've got all this cleaned up, it's looking nice and fresh, brand new. Set this off into the side in the garage, and I will go back into the cab and continue with you guys. All right guys, now that the glove box is off and we're back in the cab, a couple of things have to come off in order to get to the heater core from inside the cab. Before we take any of this off, we're going to be popping the hood and taking the hoses off from the firewall side. Once those hoses are off from the firewall side, we'll come back in here, take these off and a bunch of other stuff, and we'll go from there. Pretty straightforward, not rocket science. Pop your hood latch, come over to the hood, pop the hood up. Voila. You've got your 2 heater core hoses right here. One goes into the motor right there. The other one goes into the motor over here. We won't be taking them off the motor part yet. We're only going to be detaching them from the firewall side first, just so we can get the heater core out. Some of this stuff here on the heater hoses to kind of seal the firewall a little better. Anyway, I'm going to take those clamps off, pry the hoses off, and then we'll go back into the cab. Plan B, I cannot get the heater hoses off, so what I'm going to do is cut them right at the firewall since I'm replacing the hoses anyway. And once I do that, we'll go from there. Let's go ahead and cut these off. Alright, so I do not know the exact size, but it's a tiny little Allen key or a really small socket. I'm going to be using a really small Allen key. Make sure it's a star pattern Allen key to remove this box. You just want to move this box out the way so you can get to the bolts back there. Real simple. Those bolts, I think they're like 5/32, something really small. It's definitely smaller than an 8mm. I'll tell you guys the socket size for those back there to access the heater core once I get to it. I'm gonna try and do this with one hand here. If I can't do it with one hand, we'll set you guys down and get to the thing without it on camera. Usually there's two of these, but only one of them is holding this one intact right now. I don't know why. It's an old truck. So. There we go, like so. Right there. Just to the side. Don't really want this to hang, but it's light enough to where I don't think the wires will get destroyed. I'm just gonna take this off here, this modulator. Set you guys down. Let's find a spot for you guys here. Very fragile here. All right. Got that modulator, set it to the side right there. Now that we've got that modulator off, don't really necessarily need to disconnect any wires. Maybe that one there, just so we can get to it. But let's go ahead and get my socket set out and we'll go from there. Get the two bottom ones here first. Two right here. There's one. There's two. Got Allen keys flying everywhere. Gonna do this one right here, this one right here, this one right there, there's one right there, there's one back there. I'm gonna do the rest of them off camera. Once I've got that cover off, I'll go from there with you guys. All right guys, so I've got all the bolts off in here. The only thing that's stopping me from getting the rest of this heater core out is obviously where I cut the heater core hoses. I need to get the clamps off to get the heater core back. These heater core parts where the hose comes onto to clamp out past the firewall. So in order to do that, I've got a little trick here with a washer and a zip tie. I do not have a nut big enough to slide over that clamp, but I'm going to clamp it down to where I can close this zip tie with the washer in on the clamp so that I can pull off the rest of the hose without having to clamp it down and then pull off the seized hose, just to make it a little easier on myself. And then a little old school trick, if you didn't know that, just throw a little nut or a washer on there with a zip tie on one side of the clamp, and then get the needle nose or set of pliers, pinch it, pull that zip tie tight like I stated, and then you should be able to slip the clamp right off. I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera. Once I got those, we'll go back in the cab and continue to pry at that little cover. Once I pry the cover off enough, the heater core should come straight down, and then I'll be able to slide the new one in. That method did the trick. I probably should have just done that before, but I figured I'm replacing the hoses anyway, so who really cares? Who really gives a shit? Excuse my French, Anyway, let's go back into the cab here. Should be able to just pry this back with the flathead, and the heater core should eventually, with enough finessing, slip right out, and then I can finesse the new one in. That's gonna be a pain in the butt, but we'll get it. It's gonna take some time. I'm gonna do it off camera, and then once I got it out and finessed it out, I'll get back with you guys. I'll show you guys the new versus old, throw the new one on, get it in behind the cover, and then we'll bolt it all back in, put everything back together on video with you guys. We'll put the hoses on, and then we'll give it a little test. All right, guys, so you can see, got the cover off. Old heater core is out of there. Just fine, no issues, just a lot of finessing. Here is the old one. Had a little bit of like a nest, I guess, being built at one point. Whatever, I don't know how that's possible. Must have been taken off at one point. It's got a little bit of indentions on it. Oh, there's some coolant spewing out of it. It's whatever. This is the new one. Same deal, same scenario, just looks newer. And also, a little thinner. Not too concerned about that. That just means it's gonna be easier to get in. And we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll have to figure out a OEM plus one. This one's just from Napa, so it should be just as high quality as this one was, but since that one was completely worn out and whatever, there's no more heat going into the cab. It might be that. If it's not this, it's a thermostat. We'll have to get the thermostat done at some point. That's a real easy swap, 20 bucks. Might put that on video, might not, but until then, let's continue putting this back together. Once I got it in there, I'll put the cover back on off camera, and then I'll bring you guys to the hoses. All right, guys, really simple. Slid it right back in like it was nothing. Real carefully, made sure not to damage the core there. Looks real clean, as it should. Throw the cover back on, tighten the bolts back up, and then once we tighten the bolts back up and everything, like I said, we'll jump right into the hoses. All right, got all the bolts in there. It's nice and snug, all ready to go. Now I just gotta plug everything back in. But like I said, before I plug everything and screw all the rest of the stuff back in, we're gonna go ahead out here and put the hoses on. So I'm gonna sit you guys down, and we'll go from here. All right, guys, so I've got the new 4 clamps, new heater hose here that I'm gonna be cutting up to fit this. So I've got this one little guy here that leads out to the heater core. We're gonna make that one first, and then this one has a little turn knob here, as you can see. So I don't think I have enough hose to make a full one, so I'll probably end up having to make a full one another day if this one goes bad. But this heater hose here is still somewhat in decent condition, so as long as this knob here on the inside of it is not clogged and it's intact and everything, once I take this part of it off from here, I'm just gonna cut enough to make this one again to go out to there, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna set you guys down on time lapse, and we'll work through this together. So without further ado, let's get started. That other clamp wherever the heck I put it. Find my clamp. This is taking a lot longer than I expected, by the way, guys, but I'm gonna try and edit it the best way I can. As you've seen, I'm not the greatest at editing, so we'll see how that goes and everything once this video is being made as I continue to do this. Let's focus on one thing at a time. Still a little too long. Just a tad too long still. Ouch. Still making the hose a little too long. Right. Just a tad more to cut. Fingers. Go. I like that there. Let's get clamp. Like that there. Should be good. Like I said, for this one, I'm just going to be taking it off from right here. Oh, that one should be fairly simple. You guys might have to charge my GoPro. It might die soon. Might have to cut more of that hose on this one, but we'll see. Still looks a little long, but I want to make sure it's not too short either. Alright, got that hose off. It was kind of stuck on there, so I just kind of made a slit in it to pop it out again. See what we've got here. A little bit of corrosion I'm going to clean up off with a brush. Once I clean that off, I'll be able to slide on the new hose. Let's clean her off here. Might need to get a stronger bristle brush, but should be fine. It's on the outer section, so shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's not on the inside, it's just on the outside. It should be alright. Yeah, it'll be fine. Clean it off enough. Put those on. On this end here. Clamp. And on, just like so. Real simple, easy. Where is... Where did I put that? Screwdriver. Flathead's right here. Alright. Got the good old flathead screwdriver. Alright, got everything back plugged back in, bolts it back in. Now all that's left to do, clean up, throw coolant in it. I'm gonna leave the glove box off for now just to test everything out, see how it does, and then I'll give you guys an update once I throw the coolant in. Aha. Got plenty of coolant. We're good. Now it's time to just clean up the mess and we'll give it a test. Alright guys, give it a little start, test everything out, make sure it's all operating smoothly. Got air blown out. Yep. She's cold today, boys. She's hella cold. I smoked it. It's looking good out there. And here, blowing air already. As always, no leaking coming down from here. Of course, no signs of smoking or anything. Just run the dual. No leaks. Awesome, no leaks. Alright guys, well I'm gonna call the video off here. It's all set and done, still warming up the truck. Gonna go take it around the block for a little bit, test it out, get on it a little bit, let it idle for a little bit, but that's it. I hope you all are enjoying the content so far. That is how to replace your heater core and heater core hoses. Until the next video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.